Hey everyone, Tom Butwin here for Premier Guitar, and today I've got a trio of Dreadnought-style acoustic guitars. Before we jump into those guitars, make sure you're subscribed to the Premier Guitar YouTube channel so you don't miss anything in the future. So the history of Dreadnought-style acoustic guitars goes all the way back to 1916 when the Martin Guitar Company pioneered this shape, and this shape of acoustic guitar was much larger, louder, and bolder than anything that had been produced up until that point. Of course, that was necessitated by the fact that music was becoming less of an at-home sort of venture and becoming more of a profession. So guitar players needed to be heard, and at the time, the best way to do that was to make a louder acoustic instrument. And of course, the larger the body, the more full and loud the tone generally is. Dreadnought, the word itself, is actually referring to a battleship that was around in 1916, and that battleship was huge, it was modern, it was imposing, and it made total sense to then name the new body style of acoustic guitar that was huge, loud, imposing. Of course, after more than 100 years, we really don't associate the word dreadnought with a boat anymore. It's associated with this very common and iconic style of acoustic guitar. And today we've got three Dreadnought style acoustic guitars. And I say style because that body shape and the way that it started has been adapted over the years for a variety of reasons by a variety of different companies. And you'll see that in the three guitars we're going to take a look at today from Larrivée, Breedlove, and Taylor. So first up is the Larrivée D-09 Artist Series Contemporary Dreadnought Acoustic Guitar. This is by far the most traditional representation of a Dreadnought guitar out of the three that we're going to take a look at today. This guitar has East Indian rosewood back and sides, solid Sitka spruce top, which is a very common and awesome combination of woods to give you just really, really balanced, punchy acoustic guitar tone, all gloss finish. Just a really, really beautiful and inspiring instrument to play. You heard the clips here. You'll hear some clips as well. But even with the shotgun mic that I'm talking into here, it sounds great. Very punchy, very warm. But the thing that I noticed about this guitar is that it actually records very easily, because a struggle with larger Dreadnought style acoustic guitars in the studio is often it's got just a lot of unruly low end. This has a really, really nice balanced low end, and that is probably attributed to just obviously the build quality, the wood choices, but also the X-brace parabolic pattern that they have underneath the top here. It's very effective, creates a very balanced, well-rounded tone. It's a very comfortable guitar to play for as large as it is, for as large sounding as it is. It's comfortable to both manipulate when it comes to a microphone, but also to play in a room. And the other cool thing that they've done here is they've added the LR Stage Pro Anthem system here. So when we demonstrate the sound of the pickup, what you're getting is a combination of an undersaddle pickup and then the microphone from LR Bags. And in this case, they've got it set to about 50-50 between those things. And I think it represents the actual sound of the guitar pretty well. So a couple other features just to note. This does have a dual action truss rod. It's got some beautiful inlays and binding on it. Like I said, 18:1 ratio JCL tuners. You've got the LR Bags electronics built in, and as with all Larrivée guitars, no ply, no laminate, just all solid American wood of the finest and highest quality. And it really comes across on this guitar. It's a really cool representation of what a Dreadnought style guitar in the modern world can be. So next up, we've got the Taylor 517 Grand Pacific Builder's Edition. And this is a relatively new body shape and size for Taylor, and we'll get into that in just a second, how they arrived there. But first of all, what you're going to find with this guitar is your typical Taylor, just incredible playability. When you put your hand on this neck, you can just feel it immediately. These guitars are almost unmatched in how great they play and how comfortable they are when you play them. No different with the 517 Grand Pacific, but where it starts to differ from other previous versions of Taylor guitars is this body shape. And what they aimed to do was sort of attack some of the issues and problems that come with the larger, more traditional sized acoustic guitars in the Dreadnought family. And that is generally kind of centered around a few things. The troublesome low end that can be difficult to record. I mean, it sounds great in a room when you're playing by yourself to have all that low end punch, but if you're trying to get a guitar like this to sit in a mix, not something necessarily you want to be totally, not out of control, but just maybe more powerful than any other frequency coming out of a Dreadnought guitar. And of course, that is a offshoot of its intended purpose originally, was to be just louder and more bold. But as recording technology and styles of music have changed, companies like Taylor look to improve upon that original design. And what they did here was they've made a slope shoulder, which is, it's a common shape that you've seen, which is Dreadnought adjacent, but the real magic comes underneath the top here with their V-class bracing. And this helps to sort of bridge the gap between rigidity and flexibility that you want in a top. And I mean, without getting into the science behind how you get a guitar to be both balanced and warm and sounding good and also have some projection and volume, it's always a trade-off between the two. And traditional X bracing, there's obviously limitations to that. And Taylor really went to the drawing board and came up with this new bracing style that gives you this more like blended, kind of just like glued together sound from this guitar. And I'll play it through the shotgun mic here too so you can hear it. So even through this mic, you can hear that it's got a very kind of glued together, really recordable, easy to deal with, and very pleasing sound. So the guitar itself is made out of mahogany on the back and sides, which contributes to that more even kind of mellow tone. It's got a Sitka spruce top. The finish is all satin, to include the neck, which is part of the reason why it feels so playable, is that Taylor satin finish is just really, really nice. Of course, the V-class bracing that we talked about, and then a lot of other typical Taylor attributes to the guitar. Of course, the headstock is familiar, and they have their Expression 2 system in here as well, which will demonstrate for the plugged-in tone on the guitar. So this is the Breedlove Premier Concerto CE, and your eyes are not deceiving you. This is not a traditional Dreadnought body, of course, but it is Dreadnought-like. And the reason why it's Dreadnought-like is because of the tone, first and foremost. You get a very full, loud, punchy, dynamic tone out of a slightly smaller body style. actually a very sizable and deep body, and it really sounds a lot bigger than it actually is when you're in the room with it. So that is achieved through a few different very cool things that are unique to Breedlove here on this guitar that we'll go through. Just basically speaking, you've got Adirondack spruce on the top and East Indian rosewood on the back and sides. It's got a gloss finish on the body, but it has a satin finish on the very thin and slim, very comfortable playing neck. It's almost, I'm not gonna say electric-like, but it's definitely easy to play, which is really nice, particularly when you pair it with the cutaway. So you're really kind of pushing towards a different style of playing even with this guitar with the cutaway, rather than the larger size Dreadnought guitars where you're probably not gonna be playing above the 14th fret too often. You can do it, of course, but most of your playing on those guitars is gonna be maybe in this section here, whether you're flat picking in bluegrass or you're accompanying yourself as a singer-songwriter. In this case, you've kind of got the best of all worlds with both the typical kind of Dreadnought sound that you would hope for, but some modern appointments. And the modern appointments don't stop there. If you notice on this bridge, you don't have any pins. So it's actually a string through bridge, which is super cool and unique when it comes to an acoustic guitar. And also you get a LR Baggs Element undersaddle pickup, which is hidden with some controls here. And of course you got the jack in the end pin. But that's not all. Some of the coolest things that happen with Breedlove guitars are really not able to be seen when you're looking at them. They're beautiful to look at, but the process that goes into making these guitars, which is what they call the sound optimization process, is really cool and interesting. Generally speaking, when you're building an acoustic guitar, different thicknesses or tolerances are kind of decided across every guitar that a company is going to make. They find what works and they try to be consistent in the guitars and pieces of guitars that they produce. Well, at Breedlove, what they're doing with the sound optimization processes is basically hand voicing each guitar. So when each guitar is made, each piece of wood is sanded and crafted to its optimal thickness. And that's not always going to be the same because wood is obviously a dynamic material to build with. And that doesn't even stop after the guitar is built. Once it's braced, built, and put together, adjustments are still being made, wood is still being removed, things are being sanded. It's a very interesting and complicated process, certainly above my head. But what it yields is basically the best version of each guitar that you can possibly get. You know, with handmade instruments and dynamic wood, everything is not going to be the same. You find some guitars that have different characteristics. They're all going to be great from all three of these companies, or really many companies, but they're all different. So what the Breedlove people do here is kind of like enhance the differences that you find in a guitar and just make sure that this guitar, this wood, is all working in conjunction with one another in the best possible way that it can. And you can hear it when you're playing this guitar. It's comfortable, it's dynamic, it's balanced, it feels great, and you know, it looks great too. Really cool sunburst finish on this guitar. So if you're looking for something that is more of a modern take on a Dreadnought sound, not necessarily look, the Breedlove Concerto CE in the Premier series is really cool. So there you have it, three really cool representations of Dreadnought style guitars. We started with the Larrivée D-09, which is your traditional style Dreadnought size guitar with a beautiful representation of that. Moved over to the Taylor 517, which is a slope shouldered, still very full body Dreadnought feel and sound, but with some modern bracing technology and of course all of the Taylor playability that you're used to, which is super cool. And we ended up with the Breedlove Concerto CE in the Premier series, which is taking all of that a step further with both the size and shape of the body with a cutaway, a very modern feeling neck, very fast, comfortable neck, as well as their sound optimization process. So you're getting the best possible version out of every guitar that they produce. Once again, this is Tom Butwin here for Premier Guitar. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything in the future, and I will see you in the next one.